What it means to me to bring profit to the people is being able to bring the tools that people need to be able to create, sustainable lifestyles, to be able to create sustainable careers, such as what we're doing at Seek. We're sharing the tool, we're sharing the Seek movement, and then, we're transforming and creating the world that we want to see. And, everybody is doing well while doing this, good stuff. That's what profit to the people means to me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Profit to the People, the official podcast of Republic, where we believe you have the power to invest in the future you believe in. I'm your host, Lisa Carmen Wang, head of brand at Republic, and I'll be taking you behind the scenes to meet the team, founders, and investors in our community who share their insights on the future of investing and how they're bringing profit back to the people. To learn how you can invest, head over to republic.co and follow us on all social channels at Join Republic and at Lisa Carmen Wang. Today, I'm here with Mary Spio, the founder and CEO of Seek VR, a developer of innovative content tools for distributing virtual reality and augmented reality experiences. Mary's background is impressive. She is a deep space engineer and tech innovator. She grew up in Ghana and was 16 when her parents saved up enough money to send her to the United States. Her first job was at a McDonald's, but since then, she has served in the Air Force, created content and tech for global titans such as Boeing, Lucasfilms, Universal Music, Miami Children's Hospital, and Microsoft Xbox. She is also the author of It's Not Rocket Science, in which she shares inspirational stories to spur readers to move beyond their comfort zones into creating impact and significance. We're so excited to have Mary as part of the Republic crypto family. So Mary, welcome to Profit to the People.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lisa. That was a great introduction. Sometimes I forget some of these things, which is why I was laughing, because I was like, wow, I have worked with, a few people. Thank you for that great introduction.
I mean, it's really impressive, just all the industries that you have really gone in and conquered. And so I'm just excited to learn more about what you're doing now and how you've gotten to where you are. So just to start, I'd love to hear a bit more about your background. You've gone from working at McDonald's to the Air Force to places like Boeing and Universal Music, and now you're a founder. So tell us a bit about your journey to how you got to where you are today and some of the similarities and differences between these work environments.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I started out as a deep space engineer, building satellites, launching satellites, doing orbital mechanics, all that great stuff. But I've always loved entertainment. And so I wanted to work more on the distribution of content and the application of satellite. So I went to work for Intelsat, which then was PanamSat, building satellites, but also doing a lot of broadcast engineering. And then, the Boeing company came calling, and I had technology that I sold to them. I worked with them, launched the digital cinema platform for streaming, real-time streaming over satellite. That was the technology patent that I sold to Boeing. And then we launched it, from just 3 engineers to 200 to global platform that, it's still used by, the likes of Lucasfilms and the entire movie industry. So that's how the transition began. It was really following my passion. And so, working at McDonald's, that was, when I was younger. But when I compare like all the different places that I've worked at, I think that, the similarity is just in the people, that the great things happen when you're around good people. So it doesn't matter if it's, McDonald's or Boeing or, where I am today at Seek, it's always been about, being surrounded by great people. And I've been fortunate, to really find a lot of great, people along the way.
Yeah. And I mean, you've done a lot of these transitions from different industries. How did you make the transition from deep space research to virtual reality?
So in terms of going from, deep space engineering to virtual reality, because as a deep space scientist, I was building satellites. So when I went to work on the application side, where now I was creating technology that would use satellites, the first thing that I created was digital cinema, distribution of movies over satellite. But after we launched that technology, I realized that there was still such a huge void in the industry. So even though we had gone from creating this technology where before the movie theaters were using reels. So if you wanted to distribute movies to, let's say, 30,000 movie theaters, it could cost you as much as $30 million because you had to make the reels. But with the digital cinema technology, you could do a single broadcast and have it in all these different movie theaters, and it would cost as little as 300,000. So it was a tremendous cost savings. But it still did not open room for independents, because independents still couldn't afford to spend that much to distribute their content. So after Boeing Digital Cinema, I decided to launch an online video platform to help, with streaming of independent film. But then as I went to see advertisers, because I wanted it to be ad supported, then I found that a lot of the advertisers wanted to use the platform themselves. So Coca-Cola became a client using my streaming platform, and then Emmis, communications, and so many different radio stations. So before I knew it, we had to pivot from being an online video platform to distribute independent film to now being a full-blown SaaS, working with, Tribune News Company and Clear Channel and everybody else that was using our platform to distribute content. So it was from satellite streaming to online streaming. And the natural evolution of that was really just virtual reality. It's just that, we had gone from just videos online to now was a participatory type content where we're now not streaming just video, but we're streaming environments. And that's really how the transition came. And I can go into how I launched Seek specifically, but going from engineering, deep space science to virtual reality, that's how the evolution happened.
Yeah. And I'm curious, what is your passion around media? Because this isn't your first media startup.
It's not, I'm a huge fan of movies, of music, of, sports, all of that. And to me, media is it's the fundamental block of any community. And so I think that's why I'm so driven and so passionate about it, because that's how people share their culture. That's how people share, who they are. And even with Seek, the way it came about, I'm a huge fan of Adele. And I tried to buy a ticket to go see a concert with Adele at Madison Square Garden. I was willing to, fly from Miami to New York to see her, but the tickets were gone. She was only selling 100,000 of those tickets. And there were 10 million people that tried to buy it, and that's how Seek was born. I said, wow, wouldn't it be great if all these 9.9 million people, this other 99.9% of the people who couldn't buy tickets, because they were sold out, and even more people that couldn't buy tickets because they didn't want to fly to New York to see it or didn't have the means to do that. So what if we created a platform that allowed them to have the same communal experience of being at Madison Square Garden, but now using VR headsets? And that's how Seek was born.
Amazing. And I know you've talked a lot about, in our previous conversations, just the importance of making these immersive experiences available to the people. So I think there's an element of community building and just making sure that community is there. So tell me about how you think about creating community and giving people access.
Absolutely. So, the first thing that I noticed, early days of VR was that it was it was not very inclusive at all, because first of all, you had to be able to afford a desktop or a gaming computer, buy a very expensive VR headset. And then on top of that, for most music fans, they found it to be too complex to try to put all that together. I had one developer who actually had to move apartments when he first got his VR headset because his apartment wasn't big enough for him to be able to set up the space that he needed to enjoy VR. And I knew that was going to work for hardcore gamers, right? And he did that. He moved apartment because he's a hardcore gamer. But for the rest of the world, for the people that are consuming content on YouTube and, watching billions and billions of views, they weren't going to have to go through all that hassle. So the first thing that I knew I had to do was create a headset and create a platform that was mobile first, that was super simple. Download the app, put it in the headset, and you don't have to do anything else, which is why we created our own VR headset. And then I also found out that a lot of the headsets that existed then were so uncomfortable, particularly for women. And that's because, physiologically and just the visual psychology of how we look at things is very different for men and women. The dynamic range for focal points, there's so many different things that are different for men and women. And none of that had been accounted for because everything that was out there had been created by men, and it's not that they wanted to exclude it, but I'm sure they weren't experiencing the same uneasiness that we were. And so I solved that as well by creating a VR headset that allows for, men and women to enjoy it comfortably, and even children. So that's, how that came about.
That's amazing. And I think that's when we think about why it's so important to have diversity at the forefront. So we're actually considering different perspectives, different designs, different body types, physiologies. And so it's really incredible that, you've thought about that. And of course, I think that's just natural. As a woman, we're like, well, what about us?
Exactly. Yeah.
So bring us into Seek itself. Like, how exactly does it work? Who does it serve? And what's the experience?
So Seek is a streaming platform for virtual events and experiences. And our core right now are concerts, so we're working with some of the biggest names in music, from Lady Gaga to Katy Perry, Ziggy Marley, the list goes on. They've all used our platform to stream their content. And what's unique about our content is, again, our focus on access. The fact that you can access our content on a tablet, you can access it on just your mobile device, iOS and Android, that you can access it on Oculus, HTC Vive, that no matter what device that you're on, you're still able to access our content with no VR headset, no problem. You can still access the content. And that's what's truly unique about what it is that we do and the value that we bring to the ecosystem as well. And that's also the very reason why the big names, Universal Music and artists such as Demi Lovato and the list goes on are working with us. And a lot of the global international superstars are also working with us because of the fact that we're verifying content on the blockchain. We're validating content streams, and then we're making payments with smart contracts. And by doing that, one, we're reducing latency for the user to access the content. We're also making it super easy for artists around the world to get paid because, there are a lot of, like people say, well, why don't you pay them through PayPal? For a lot of different countries, they don't have PayPal. And a lot of different countries have the currency conversions, and there's just so much friction when it comes to trying to get them paid that it takes forever, or they don't get paid at all. And so by creating a platform that's super transparent, super easy, and then, just makes it so efficient for them to directly monetize their content with their fan base and get paid, it's just a win-win, which is why all these people are flocking to us.
And let's just acknowledge how big of a win that is, that you've partnered with Universal Music, that you've brought in these big names like Demi Lovato, like Ziggy Marley. And I know that's one of the largest concert streams. I think you said 9.4 million within 24 hours.
Yes. Yeah. Billboard magazine covered it. Yeah.
Amazing. And so what is it that you mentioned latency, but what is it specifically that makes it so that for these artists, it is so much more appealing?
It's so much more appealing for the artist because, one, everybody talks about the visual quality, right? The visual quality of the Seek platform, but also the fact that they have the ability to distribute it to all these different platforms, that I can distribute my content to Oculus. I'm not just limited to Oculus. I'm not just limited to YouTube. I'm not just limited to HTC, Because currently, if let's say Universal Music has a partnership with Facebook, and it's only available on Oculus. Well, what about iOS users? What about Android users? It's the same thing with YouTube or with the, Google VR. It was only available on certain phones. And so the fact that we've created this ubiquitous access to content and made it super, super simple, you would literally download the app and you put it in your VR headset, and then you can watch it. Or if you don't have a VR headset, you could still watch it, in 2D. So we're allowing you to stream the content with great visual quality. We're tracking it on the blockchain. So we're not validating ourselves. We have the validators that are outside or independent validation of your streams, and then you're getting paid, as it happens. So it's just a win-win, and it's a very, very efficient solution for the industry. Another pain point that we're looking at solving is even publishing, because today, to license content, you have to call so many different publishers, but now bringing that on the blockchain and fractionalizing the payment of publishers, it just makes it automatic. So you don't have to go and find them, where you can't put out a song because you don't know who the publishers are or a piece of content. So these are all problems that we're solving for the industry. And there's a whole back end to it, because I've seen people talking about music and VR or music on the blockchain, but they don't really have a back end to it. And the back end allows us to do the entitlements, and there's just so much that goes into music distribution that people don't understand. It's the same even with sports. Our ability for people to broadcast directly from a television, a satellite truck. We've done all those integrations, partly because of my background, and then also the phenomenal team that I've put together.
Amazing. And I know that you had a token from the very beginning, but it wasn't crypto. And that was as a means to track streams. So at what point did you decide to fully tokenize it?
We were trying to solve a lot of these issues with custom solutions. And I was approached by, someone who was also looking at, different tokens and blockchain and whatnot. And so once I started looking into it, it was just it just made all the sense in the world to tokenize it. Because another issue that, really bugs me personally is the fact that when you have in-game currency, that you're not able to transfer that to another game, or you're not able to transfer that value anywhere else outside of that game. And so there were so many reasons and so many things that made sense. So it was just a natural transition to go from, the tokenized, non-crypto tokenized solution that we had to now having a, crypto token that works, with the platform.
Yeah. So it seems like it's really about the transparency and efficiency aspect, correct?
Absolutely. The transparency and efficiency, the speed, all of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What has been the feedback from the artists themselves?
The artists themselves have, loved the platform, which is why we continue to work with bigger and bigger artists. The independent and international artists also love it, because they love the fact that there's no middle person, and they can just directly monetize their content with their fan base, that it's, totally decentralized, and they can also get paid through, crypto. Because today what happens is, depending on your geography is how you get paid. You get paid in your local currency. So if I'm in Mexico and I stream 1 million times, I get paid in pesos. So I might get, let's say, $38. And if you're in the US and you stream 1 million times, you might get, let's say, $3,000. So for the same stream, so you're spending, let's say $1,000 to do your video. I'm spending the same amount, but I'm getting paid $38 and you're getting paid, $3,000. That's not profit to the people.
Exactly. Yeah. So can you just talk about a little bit of just the building process and like fundraising process to get to where you are now as Seek?
In terms of the building process, because we had an existing platform and we had also, worked with very early on, our first product that we did was Megadeth, which was a Grammy-winning project. It won the Grammy, won the Clio, specifically for the VR portion of it. And most importantly, we had a retail component that sold out at retail. So I thought, oh, wow, this is great. I'm going to raise capital and we're going to do this all over again. And we're just going to, keep taking this to the moon. But it was not as straightforward as I thought. I had a lot of challenges in terms of with the capital raise. So I knew very early on that I had to focus on getting a lot of our strategic partners to step up, which they did, companies like Oculus, Facebook, which I'm on the board of Oculus for Good. They stepped up and contributed development funds for us, and Amazon and Microsoft and so on and so forth. And so that's how I was able to get, through the early stages. And then later on getting support from, funds like Black Star Fund and, Black Angel Tech Fund, and then also angel investors, and all of that has just been very instrumental to getting us, where we are. So we haven't gone the traditional VC route in terms of, like Silicon Valley names and stuff like that, which can be a challenge,
Absolutely. I mean, it's a challenge for anyone, but, certainly even I've had that experience, like a challenge as a female entrepreneur and a minority female entrepreneur, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you're now part of the Republic family, the Republic crypto family. Tell us about why you came into the fam.
Absolutely. And so there's a lot of insight that, I've been able to gain. For example, right now we're transitioning to BSC. The fact that, Ethereum, in terms of the gas costs, had gotten so exorbitant. So we were able to receive, not guidance, but like advice and suggestions and, very, very great recommendations that's, helped us to really make some decisions that I think otherwise wouldn't have allowed us to scale the way we needed to be able to scale. So I'm just super excited to be part of the Republic, family.
Awesome. And I know that you have some exciting things that just happened, including being listed on a public exchange. You have some things going on with the NFT marketplace. So walk us through what's coming up.
So what's coming up right now, we're looking at a listing on PancakeSwap, and, we've created we're now on the Binance Smart Chain, which is so much more efficient and cost effective in terms of being able to do our transactions like, artist payments and, collecting payments and so on and so forth. So that's something that we're super excited about. We have a bridge that's coming. And we also have some phenomenal artist releases that are coming. And a lot of the releases and a lot of the artists that we've worked with, there's content and digital media assets that are now going to be available as, NFTs. So all those things are in, progress as we speak. And I'm super excited about that.
That's awesome. How did you come up with those ideas to pursue like the NFT marketplace, for example?
So for the NFT marketplace, for example, if you look at our initial white paper, I talk a lot about the difficulty of being able to clear music, especially when it comes to publishers and the fractional payments that have to be done. And so that by itself lends itself to an NFT where you have fractional ownership of a particular digital media asset. That's one thing. And then the other aspect is the fact that inside of our app, we have the ability for artists to create their own T-shirts and, digital goods. And all these digital goods have rare value. And some of them are just, and they all have to be tracked. So these are all things that we were doing, pre the NFT boom, right? So like I said, if you look at our white paper for like 2017, these are all things that we were talking about, the validator nodes for the streaming and, creating these rare digital assets that can be tracked. And all of our media content, every single one of our videos, or all of them are already assigned Ethereum addresses and they're tracked uniquely. And so the NFT is just allowing us, one, to create, for people to collect certain assets, to have access to certain things. So it's just a continuation or an extension of what we're doing already.
I mean, I love the out of the box thinking. And even as you were talking about not going the traditional funding route, which I think is just so important of a narrative for founders to hear, because I think what we are seeing, and clearly the trend is going towards, is like the VC, the brand name VC is not the end all be all. In fact, it's just, a drop in the bucket. And a big part of it is really around, what Republic embodies. And this is giving access to the 99.9%, allowing people to fund and invest in the future they believe in.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I tried it, but I realized very early on that, I wasn't part of the bro. And I knew with the product that we had that there were other alternatives, such as leaning on our strategic partners. And that also allowed us to really iterate, because it's not easy, to get funds from, the big partners that we had. And so your product had to be very solid. And the good thing is not being afraid to go out there with it, because they will kind of help you iterate, to create the value that you need to create in the ecosystem.
Amazing. And tell us about how you see the future of VR evolving.
The way I see the future of VR evolving, especially, like people say it's post-pandemic, but especially post-pandemic, I think most people, the shift has happened where people understand now that they have things that are more valuable in the virtual world than they have even in the real world. And this is just only going to continue to increase. So whether it's through virtual reality, augmented reality, or the metaverse, right? So we are very much headed into the metaverse, and it's the future of everything. It's really just I consider it Web 3.0, because we went from Web 1.0 with pictures and text, video, and now Web 3.0, which is participatory, being able to walk into, I can walk into your room and I can be there with you. I can walk into your store and I can be there with you, and I can buy a painting that's on your wall and, own it and display it inside of my virtual world. That's where everything is going. And even with music, and it's all interconnected, right? When you look at whether it's VR or digital goods, it's not a new phenomenon. So in terms of NFT or whatever you want to call it, this is all part of this whole metaverse. So it's the future, it's, the now also.
And last question for you, what does it mean to you to bring profit to the people?
What it means to me to bring profit to the people is being able to bring the tools that people need to be able to create, sustainable lifestyles, to be able to create sustainable careers, such as what we're doing at Seek. There is a quote that, guides, it's like my guiding principle is, when you share your light, you live in a brighter world. And to me, that's what we're doing, is allowing people to be able to directly monetize their artwork. And as a result of that, the thousands of people that they're able to hire and the thousands of lives that those thousands, and it just grows and grows. So it's just like we're sharing the tool, we're sharing the Seek movement, and then, we're transforming and creating the world that we want to see. And, everybody is doing well while doing this, good stuff. That's what profit to the people means to me.
Amazing. Well, Mary, thank you for all of your hard work pioneering this new future, this new now, and all the impact that you're creating. We are so grateful to have you as part of the Republic family.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Likewise.
This podcast is provided for educational purposes only by Republic and Republic.co. Nothing discussed should be construed as legal, tax, accounting, or investment advice. The views of the presenters may not be the views of Republic and its affiliates. Always consult with trusted professional advisors before making investments. Private investments are inherently illiquid and may result in a total loss. All rights reserved.